if the excursion is within 24 hours, you can calculate MKT and evaluate the effect. Well, in case of 25 degrees storage, and when the spike is 32 degrees for 10 hours, let's say, you can calculate the MKT, and the result is, well, 26 degrees, for example. Say that MKT value is 26, and we think the spike of 32 is, we can say that is not very harmful to the product or project. And one other example is extrapolation for the shelf life, which is written in Q1E, ICH Q1E. In this table, when you write regression lines by the testing result, and you can recognize the 95 lower confidence limit, you can extrapolate the shelf life at most by 1 year. So you can use this tool to shelf life and storage conditions and a label is somewhat related. When you stored the products for 36 months at 30 degrees, 75 degrees, you have to label the product that stored below 30 degrees. And at the same time, if you make stability testing 25 degrees, 60%, you have to label the product by store below 25 degrees. And based on the ASEAN guideline, shelf life is the one, expiry date is the one which indicate the quality of the individual drug product, to what extent the product is efficacy, keeping efficacy. And shelf life is a word for the nature of the drug product, and it is used for the registration. And next item is the technologies. So how to carry out stability testing? You have to expose the drug substance, such as temperature, humidity, and light for their registration. And stored sample is, you have to store it under the appropriate condition, which means the stability chamber. And after stored the stability sample, this should be evaluated by validated analytical methods by appropriate intervals. So the chamber is designed to have to produce relevant conditions. For example, ICH Q1E and ASEAN stability guidelines. And chamber is qualified and meet GMP requirements, such as PICS GMP Annex 15. And chambers and data monitoring systems are periodically requalified, and uninterrupted chamber operation is desired. You can say that the storage condition is monitored by human. You can go into the chamber in the morning and in the evening and record the temperature and humidity twice daily. But in this case, you have to come to the chamber even in Saturday and Sunday and national holidays too. And what is important for the equipment is you have to think about the equipment qualification and the equipment life cycle. It is starting with DQ, design qualification, and go to the SAT, site acceptance testing, and IQ, installation qualification. And then operational qualification, performance qualification, and these things are mainly done by a supplier, but also the customer should agree on the result. And you do the daily check, periodical check, maintenance, repair, and change if necessary. And you do the requalification once a year, once in 2 years, once in 3 years, something like that. And also you make renewal of the equipment. And since the controlling of heat itself or the humidity itself is not so much difficult, but you have to control temperature and humidity at the same time, which is something difficult. So from the DQ, DQ is a beginning qualification, but it is now thought that is more important than usually we think. FDA, US FDA is very keen that if the user requirement is achieved, is confirmed by the user, and also if the provider have a quality system and maintenance support system. So this is the tendency that authority have nowadays. And recording is also important. And for the recording temperature or humidity, we have to record that after office hour and holidays and avoid human error. So we have to be sure that we have a very good SOP. And sometimes people change, so we have to know that. And also we need an alarm if some deviation happen. The alarm should come to the responsible person directly. And we should fix the problem. And the one effective way is we equipped emergency power generator, something like that. And for the chamber, there are some important remarks for the daily check. I would say for the reaching chamber, we have to check if the inlet filter is clean. For the walk-in chamber, we should aware if sudden temperature change around the outer unit, then we have to be careful. And since we use water, there may be a water slime, so we have to be careful. And for the storage, each chamber has an effective space. So we should know that the sample should be kept in an effective space, not outside the effective space. And also chamber has have some, well, range of temperature humidity. Well, top right or left bottom. So from the top right to the left bottom, there are some ranges of temperature humidity. We have to ensure that all the spaces should be kept in the upper limit and lower limit of the guidelines. So these must be ensured. Okay, and the third item is the data integrity. I'm sure you know that. Since data integrity is not for the data itself, it's a requirement from the equipment qualification, protocol, testing, report, also including education training record method. Well, it is the word started from 2015, and since that data integrity as a key concern of the authorities. By the way, EMA is transferred from London to Amsterdam, the white building on the below photo. And when you discuss data integrity, you have to make risk analysis by ALCOA. A is attributable, which is in paper, you write the date and signature by the operator, and by electronic, the login and specific ID and password must be ensured. For the L, legible, for the paper is the intelligible ink, correction with date, name and person. And electronic, it is the correction by authorized person with audit trail. C is contemporaneous. For the paper, it's a record simultaneously. And for the electronic, data recorded is with time, which cannot be deleted. And O is original. And for the paper, is the regimen as original, remain as original. And for the electronic, is the remain, all data and backup. And last one is A, accurate. This means for the paper, accurate records are there. And for the electronic, the equipment and software are qualified and validated. This is ALCOA. And also in Europe, people say sometimes CCEA, but I think ALCOA is the main concern for data integrity, and CCEA is something as a reference. Okay, and for starting the, data integrity, we have to have a team, and the people related should make a team and make sure there's resources, policy, and members, and role, and process owner and system owner. And through the team discussion, make gap analysis and risk evaluation and risk management. This is a big guideline. And we do an equipment renewal, SOP revision, which is sometimes mandatory by US FDA. And we also do education and training for personal competence. And well, this is a simple example for alcohol analysis case report. And sometimes the recorded data can be printed out several times. So in this case, we have to make sure that printed out data is the first and original one by double check by a double person. And also we have to make sure that what kind of well, tendency of feeding of the authorities. In Europe, they say risk-based review of audit trail is accepted. For example, review results of HPLC, you have to do every batch, which is quantitative. And review records of UV, qualitative, you can do make the audit trail by every 6 months or by every 1 year. That is, well, more the risk feeling of the EU people. But when the US people come, FDA maybe usually said risk-based review is accepted, but HPLC every batch is okay, but the review records of UV maybe maximum 3 months, maybe 1 month. That is kind of FDA, US FDA's feeling. So there's some difference of risk feeling between the authorities. And as an electronic records is more free of mistake. In Nagano's case, we changed the paper records to an electronic records in 2016. And as we develop an instrument, we strengthen the development of equipment by a strong change control. And we also make an education of sample handling. And we always do the stability testing samples by double check. And also, as I said, paper records is usually done by double check, including mapping study results and some validation records. Thank you. That is the end of my part. I will change the speaker. Thank you.
Hatta-san. So, selamat sore, Bapak-bapak dan Ibu-ibu. My name is Akiko, who's in charge of the business development in Nagano Science, overseas development. Okay, so follow up the Hatta-san's presentation. I will explain more in practical way how to do the effective stability testing management. So in general, perception of stability testing is, so it's just a chamber. You have to buy a stability chamber and then just do the storage testing. And it's just need a maintenance, calibration, and mapping, and just to get a reliable supplier with supervision, service provision. And how much should it cost? The chamber cost should be as little as possible, and the price must be thoroughly negotiated with suppliers. So the lower the better. And we can do the same task in-house to save more costs, including the qualifications and maintenance and so on. But the significance of stability testing is, as probably many of you are aware of, so it's required by drug control agencies. So storage stability testing studies are required to obtain the approval market and sell the medicinal products anywhere. So in case the stability testing has failed, you have to, your marketing for the products will delay. So it is could cause the business impact. And of course, you have to consider the product quality and patient safety. Storage stability testing studies provide important information about the safe use of medicinal products during the product life cycle. So what you have to consider when you perform the stability studies in terms of chamber life cycle management. So during at the delivery, so when it means installation of the chamber, you have to consider, of course, starting from URS, DQ, IQ, OQ, and PQ to start using the chamber. And when you initiate creating a URS, after you have to know the many technical consideration to do the DQ. And then after you have decided which chamber to purchase, and after purchase from the chamber supplier, you have to perform the IQ, OQ, PQ, partly by supplier and partly by you yourselves. And then finish the installation and qualification and to start the stability testing. And also at requalification, you also have to consider the similar things, and also has to consider how to create the maintenance SOPs and checklists and so on. Also, similar installation confirmation and PQ every year or periodical year until the end of the cycle, which means until the chamber is unable to use. You have to think about how to manage the chamber, which is the chamber life cycle management. So this is an example of Nagano Science stability testing facility. Nagano Science has a facility which can do the storage stability testing for the customer. This is just this is an example of how we do check the chamber during the life cycle. First is the daily checklist. So our service team check the temperature and humidity values of the chamber and the values of the data logger and the condition inside the chamber from the window. They do the checking every day. And also weekly checklist. Addition to daily checklist, they also check the chamber and also the water overflow level of the humidifier, so they can continue the storage stability testing with no problem, and check the area near the chamber for any condensation or not. And the monthly check is also available, is performed with the checklist. Check the air handling unit for physical abnormalities, noise, and check refrigeration unit, outdoor unit, and noises. So this is a monthly check, so we do daily, weekly, monthly to keep the chamber running without problem. Because once the stability testing has stopped, we have to make many reports and so on, which is pretty troublesome. And then we also do the annual maintenance during requalification. And in this point, we check all the critical components, which is very important to keep the chamber running, and check the homogeneity of temperature and humidity inside the chamber. Okay. So, so in detail, in cycle management, life cycle management, what you have to think is the sample. First is the sample, and when you decided to purchase the chamber, you first have to consider how many products you have, how many batches per year, how many years of storage is needed, and new products launch expected, And what is the purpose of stability testing storage? So is it for R&D development, QA for registration, ongoing testing, or can be, those can be used in the same chamber? So that kind of thing you have to consider for sample management. And for data management, you have to record the temperature and humidity on regular basis. So in current industry trend is to record with electrical recorder also in points of the data integrity point of view. So record during after office hour and holidays and reduce the human error for wrong input and manipulation, and prepare specific easy understanding SOPs to reduce the impact of lowering efficiency due to frequent personal changes. And also need to consider the alarm management, because if there is no alarm management, when something happened to the chamber and there's a deviation of the temperature and humidity, you will not aware until you come back to office after the holidays or weekends. So deviation alarm function by chamber or recorder and a system has to be prepared. So prepared SOP in case of deviation based on drug characteristics is also important to analyze the impact by deviation. So, and the validation management is also important. So of course, you have to start with the validation design, and what you need to consider is validation validation design based on risk management of the chamber characteristic and performance. So for example, how many hours of mapping do we have to perform, and consider the electrical voltage fluctuation, temperature humidity fluctuation at power down, and how the temperature and humidity will fluctuate during the power down or door opening. And consider the ambient temperature changes in different seasons. In Indonesian case, maybe the difference between night and days has to be considered. And plan the life cycle of the chamber from installation until retirement. And management time reduction regards to validation management. So schedule, when you have many different type of chamber, type of drugs, you have to schedule the validation of multiple chambers at the same time of the year. So unify the validation document for easy checking by QA and explanation of the auditor also has to be considered. Use the chamber from qualified suppliers. Need validation and maintenance support is also important to save your time management. The validation service provider who can provide supporting data to design the effective validation. So in this case, you have to consider this, which is written in the PICS GMP Chapter 7, has to be considered. Okay, that's the end of my part. So I will pass to Chandri. I can, you can use my slide. I will change the slides. Chandri, we cannot hear you.
Andri dengar. kurang itu tadi kan dari science. Sandri
Oke, halo.
mau kan?
Halo. Oke, next aku. So, baik Bapak Ibu sekalian, ini aku sedikit menjelaskan mengenai science, itu pengalaman Bu, Pak. Akiko, please change your slide. And then ini adalah Nagano, visi dari Nagano itu to develop the best process in storage stability testing for pharmaceutical industry, di mana pharmaceutical industry ini juga mencakup herbal worldwide. Kemudian kami adalah partner pertama Nagano Science di overseas, itu sejak tahun 2013. Dan slide berikut ini adalah customer kami di Indonesia, yaitu ada Guardian Permatama, Benofarm, Kimia Farma, dan Bapak Ibu bisa lihat ini salah satunya Papros, Konimax juga telah menggunakan chamber dari Nagano Science. Ya, ini sekilas mengenai Nagano Science. Next. Oke, terima kasih Bapak-bapak, Ibu-ibu semuanya atas perhatiannya. Mungkin kita masih ada waktu sedikit. Ada yang mau ditanyakan, boleh silakan. Mungkin Bu Siani apakah ada pertanyaan dari audiens itu? Atau bingung menanyakan apa?
Pertanyaannya adalah apakah ada khusus dilakukan penyimpanan baku emas atau jadi?
Mohon maaf Bu, suaranya putus-putus. Bisa diulang?
Pertanyaan dalam kiat melakukan penyimpanan jadi
Mohon maaf Bu, suaranya putus-putus kayak robot gitu Bu.
Oke. Apakah ada kiat lakukan penyimpanan bahan baku bahan gas atau jadi? Saya dengar suara.
Mohon maaf, nggak jelas, masih nggak jelas Bu. Nggak kedengeran sih, putus-putus suaranya Bu.
Halo? Halo, bisa suara saya?
Halo. Nah, ya, oke Bu, udah mendingan ya. Gimana Bu?
Halo?
Ya, halo.
Ada pertanyaan apoteker Nugroho. Pertanyaannya apa ada kiat melakukan penyimpanan dan produk ada khusus atau tidak dalam melakukan penyimpanan bahan baku, bahan kemas atau produk jadi?
Maaf Bu, ini mungkin sinyal aku kali ya kurang bagus ya. Apa agak putus-putus. Produk di dalam kemasan, maksudnya gimana Bu?
Apakah ada kiat khusus penyimpanan produk jadi?
Apakah ada kiat khusus dalam melakukan penyimpanan bahan baku, bahan kemas, dan produk jadi?
Betul.
Oke, ini oke, ada ketikan ini. Kiat khusus. Mungkin ini Akiko, do you understand about the question? Is there any special treatment that for to store the raw material, the packaging material, and finished good?
Special treatment.
What
Yeah.
do you mean?
What do you mean by
Yeah,
special treatment?
I mean it's not maybe no. It's like a.
Is it? You mean that? Is there any difference between the drug product and raw material.
Kiat khusus di sini sih perlakuan yang berbeda terhadap bahan baku, bahan jadi, dan bahan kemas gitu.
First one is it a new new chemical entity or generics? But beside of that, if you work with active substance, active ingredient, you have to make a stress testing, which is you have to go up to the higher temperature and you have to know the effect of light. This is more extensive test for the API, active substance, where drug product, this stress testing is not required so much. So there are a little bit difference, but basically long-term stability and accelerated stability is the same.
Chandri, can
Pak Esa Nugroho ya. Ini kira-kira gimana, Pak? Jadi kalau boleh sebenarnya sih kalau untuk uji stabilitas itu, Bapak Ibu semuanya, kita tuh lebih akan fokus ke produk barang jadi atau barang apa produk yang akan kita registrasi. Jadi kalau untuk yang raw material itu sendiri kayak API yang memang ada untuk uji stabilitas sendiri, dan kita lebih fokus ke produk jadi. Yang dimana produk jadinya ini sudah apakah di store atau diuji menggunakan primer packaging atau secondary packaging. Kira-kira gimana, Bu?
Halo,
Halo, ya.
akan saya lanjutkan. Bisa dengar suara saya?
Bisa, Bu.
Masih putus-putus. Oke.
Ya,
Saya lanjutkan dengan
oke.
Saya lanjutkan dengan pertanyaan dari Bun Inola. Pertanyaannya adalah, apakah protokol stabilitas ada versinya sesuai pengalaman yang paling tepat menghitung stabilitas? Apakah metode fisika atau yang teknik Indonesia?
Apakah protokol stability testing mesti ada validasi sesuai pengalaman mana yang paling tepat dalam menghitung ED pakai metode fisika, kimia atau apa ini keputus
maksudnya, maksudnya apakah saat membuat protokol stability test itu harus ada validasinya gitu Pak? Kan biasanya
baik, untuk protokol stability test ini lebih ke chambernya ya Bu ya, ke unit, ke equipment, dan jadi kita harus membuat protokol yang itu mencakup mengenai IQ, OQ, EQ ke unit tersebut. Terus juga protokol itu mencakup semua aspek untuk si equipment. Dan Ini pakai metode. Mungkin ada sedikit tambahan dari atasan. Atasan, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
hear you.
yeah.
Now, the next question is about the thing is must be validated.
Protocol is the one just you have it, and if it's approved